Overworlds. They're the means by which we branch out to a game's more distinct locales, the hubs that centralize and make its worlds truly grand. They come in all manner of sizes and styles, ranging wildly in their aesthetic choices, and are key in establishing a game's tone. While there are plenty of amazing overworlds, I want to focus not only on these areas, but their themes, the musical journeys that whisk us away to adventure. Now, this list is going to be a little bit different from some of my past lists. Instead of doing a clear-cut 5 down to 1 sort of countdown, with number 1 being my absolute favorite, I simply want to give you my 5 current favorites. I think there's at least one in there that'll surprise you, and hey, sometimes it's fun to keep you guessing. With that said, let's get into it. Zelda games have it all, man. They really do. Lovely characters, wonderful stories, amazing environments, and as always, some of the best music to ever grace video gamedom. It's difficult to truly pin down any single favorite from the series when it comes to anything, let alone Overworlds. The exploration and music continue to live prosperously inside my head after all these years. However, at the moment at least, when it comes to themes, Wind Waker's Great Sea captures my imagination unlike anything else in the series. Now, the Great Sea as a whole is totally brilliant in its design. Vast and free, just as an ocean should be, it opens its loving arms and kindly invites you to plunder and dive through all it has to offer. With each of the game's islands occupying one square of the map, you have identifiable goals to sail towards. And outside of a few early moments guiding you in a particular direction, everything is as accessible as you want it to be. While most of the Zelda games have distinct borders guiding you along, the Great Sea is well and truly clear outside of its furthest edges. You'll never have a jarring stop where you simply can't progress forward, and altogether it makes the Wind Waker feel like a freeing experience. However, it wouldn't be complete without that magnificent theme pushing you to adventure. And that's what still stands out to me about it. Despite how the design of the game already lends itself to exploration, it's the music that creates that initial push to get out there and see something new. It wants you to cast out and see the world, and I can't think of a better sentiment towards the experience the Wind Waker provides. Whether you're jumping across perilous pits and over baddies, running across an expansive field, or delving through the vegetation of a foreign planet, the best music will place you right into whatever situation you find yourself in. And one of the most powerful examples I can think of is Talon Overworld's second and main theme. Lush and overgrown, with rain ever present and thick, Talon Overworld carries a certain air of mystery. The further you explore and uncover, the more grand it feels, and there's always this sensation that you haven't quite seen all of its secrets. Even after completing the game, I always wanted more from it, and I put a lot of that down to the theme. Full of little electronic notes, bass booms, and synths, it bounces along excitingly, driving that desire to shoot, jump, and morph ball your way through every canyon and hallway. Talon Overworld is airy, completely matching the vibe I felt since I first popped the game into my GameCube all those years ago. Seeing as Metroid Prime was my starting point for the series, this track is my quintessential Metroid Overworld theme, capturing the ambience, the isolation, and the exploration that makes the series so special. You know, despite being in the upper echelons of my favorite games, let alone just racing games at large, I still haven't talked about Diddy Kong Racing enough. While I will eventually give it the full look it deserves, I'll just say this: Diddy Kong Racing makes me happy. That's really what the game captures, happiness, all centered around the joy of hanging out with your friends. With Timber's Island all to themselves, Diddy and his companions are free to cruise around and race to their heart's content. And so the island beckons you forth, its jovial theme ringing true to the sentiments of our cast's quest. Playing this game for the first time was such a breath of fresh air, and the way the song morphs to match each area of the island shares that view. It was one of those moments where even as a kid, it came as such a shock that the theme's sound would change depending on the environment, yet still retain the same melody. Even now, it seems like such a simple and obvious choice to make, yet we've rarely seen it outside of Rare's titles. Again though, as great as the instrumentation is, the song is brilliant for how it places you right into the game. With Diddy Kong Racing so happy and accessible, it's only appropriate that the Overworld's theme is such a simple tune, and sometimes that's all you need. I know this pick is going to throw some people off, so let me give you a little context. Banjo-Kazooie is a strange title for me. I managed to avoid all the hype for it back in the day when it was released, and all the nostalgia that continues to encapsulate its existence long after its reign as the king of collectathons. It's just a game I never happened to make friends with back in the day, and there isn't any particular reason why. So I finally paid it a visit a couple of years ago during a summertime-filled quest to expand my gaming experiences. And seriously, I was blown away. Tight controls, bright worlds, and some phenomenal tunes by the musical messiah Grant Kirkhope. Completely free from the oppressive, loving chains of nostalgia, I was able to sit back and enjoy Banjo-Kazooie. And I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed that I managed to avoid it for so long, seeing how good it is. Now, while the entire game is fantastic, quickly cementing itself in my mind's pamphlet of all-time classics, Gruntilda's Lair stands out for its poignant level design, charming and goofy aesthetics, and, most importantly, its wonderfully catchy theme. Now, rare games from the good old days have a certain vibe to them. No matter how bad the situation gets for our heroes, there's always an air of approachability. Even when our quests grow difficult and we begin to tire, the music is always there to lift our spirits and keep us on the right track. Despite being the home of our adversary, who might I add is one spiteful sorceress, Grunty's Lair seems strangely inviting. And while the aesthetics are quite compelling on their own, I put a lot of this desire to explore down to that theme. It bounces along without a fuss, alluring in its ability to get you bobbing along with it, and highlighting my propensity to place a massive emphasis on music. The melody is easily recognizable and catchy, and soon enough you're humming along and jumping to and fro. Next thing you know it, you've reached the next area where another lovely lyric awaits. The fact that this tune had such a strong ability to pull me into the game's pace and not even realize how much time had passed makes it top tier for me. There might be other overworlds I prefer over Grunty's Lair simply in terms of design or purely for selfish nostalgic reasons, but throw in that theme and you've got me hooked. And just like Diddy Kong Racing, it seamlessly shifts its tone to match the visual stylings of the respective worlds you encounter throughout the Witch's Refuge, which only makes it that much more captivating. Rare and Grant Kirkhope. They truly knocked it out of the park with this one, and it's no wonder that people always said that this was an incredible example for how to do an overworld. Having finally played the game on my own time as an adult, it was easy to see why, and it's quickly cemented itself as one of my all-time favorites. One of the beautiful parts of sitting down and playing a video game is their ability to surprise, to fascinate and bewilder and change your perception of just what they can even be. Up until 2008, my sphere of gaming knowledge and experience was relatively compact. Outside of replaying classics and getting into a small handful of mainstream titles, I'd yet to reach far outside my comfort zone. And then came along a little title called Braid. Now, that's not to say there weren't other titles that showed up and graced my eyes and ears with their worlds, music, and characters. Fallout 3, BioShock, and Mirror's Edge are just a few notable examples of games that broadened my horizons that same year. Yet Braid resonated in a different way. It took established mechanics and made players completely rethink how to apply them by throwing them in new scenarios. It also brought a unique and beautiful art style into the gaming scene, something beyond the clear-cut and classic pixel art predominantly found in indie titles of the time. The music is no exception, equally exemplary in its ability to paint a broad canvas of soundscapes. While many of the game's tracks stand out, enhancing the gameplay and visuals, it's the Overworld theme that continues to capture my imagination years later. Floating in and out, ambient, ethereal, and haunting, it perfectly captures the aura of mystery Braid conjures through its overworld. Roaming into view and away from the moody opening backdrop, you enter the game's small and quaint overworld. Here you gradually enter its worlds one by one, piecing the puzzles together and subsequently unraveling the game's message. Yet despite the game slowly growing more familiar in its mechanics and their applications, the overworld and its theme continue to surprise, only in this pleasantly elusive way. And so much of that quality comes down to the instrumentation. The song's composer, Jamie Sieber, brings forth a gorgeous, unique, and enveloping sound through some stringed wizardry. Notes flutter in and out as a deep beat swells up and down, muttering on and on. Then the cello rises over the top, its majestic melody guiding the song forward. It's one of the songs that's enjoyable totally on its own, regardless of whether you have a connection with the game. It's just that good. Not only that, but the theme sets the tone for the game moving forward, reminding you time and again that there's always more to see. And even beyond all that, the song does an amazing job of showing how games can surprise when you least expect it. And that's what stuck with me long after my first run through Braid's magical little overworld.